Hello, I will be discussing how the social ideals of the rebel army and World War II and its effects on the world, such as some countries I will be naming, Japan, and the other major impacts of World War II and how they're related. On May 7th, 1945, The Sun, I'm not too sure where this newspaper is based, but they state that Germany surrenders, and it's a tough surrender, of course, because they did not want to back down, and they state in the last paragraph, they were asked alternately if they understood the surrender terms imposed upon Germany, and they would be carried out by Germany. And the generals, such as General Hans and other colleagues, they answered yes. And it was a very tough yes to say to them because ultimately they didn't want to give up, but they knew they had to. And it just really shows the turning point in the world, and how it would ultimately lead to a lot of power given to the people who had their power stripped away, and all of like those terms and how they would impact the people that needed the power most, because the Nazis at that point really stripped people of their power and really imposed such great disparity on many groups. I believe the article by The Sun that I just quoted and explained relates to the social ideals of the rebel army in many ways. I say that it relates in the way that they were both fighting for something greater than themselves, such as the U.S. fighting for not only the American people, but also the people that have been dehumanized and stripped of every sense of humanity that they held on to while trying to, I guess, relate to some form of humanity while being punished for an essential human right that shouldn't have been stripped away from them. And there's one part on page 4, paragraph 2, in the ideals of the rebel army, social ideals of the rebel army. I'm so sorry. And it states, the men and women of the rebel army did not forget that their fundamental mission in the Sierra Maestra and elsewhere was for the betterment of the peasantry and their incorporation into the struggle for land. They held on to that hope and they ran with it, and they knew that they were fighting for something better and something bigger than themselves. And I really believe that that relates to how the US and the Allies thought of this war. It's not that they were just fighting for them and their people, but they're fighting for the betterment of the world and how that can impact and greatly help the people that were dehumanized and put down during that really intense time and saddening time. On May 7th, 1945 as well, the New York Herald Tribune expressed great gratitude for that the war is over and how this is making such a great impact. And it says, Allied Expeditionary Force, the British Ministry of Information announced that today will be celebrated as Victory in Europe Day. And I think that was a great point to give out, and giving that message, even though it wasn't like officially declared that day, but it would be made that day, is that it was a time to celebrate. This dark time is over, and they've learned so much, and they fought so hard for a great deal, and they ultimately got what they wanted, and they wanted the war to be over. Not only that, but the president, the Prime Minister Churchill, he would make a statement. Not only that, President Truman at the time would make a statement as well, and it was such a great deal for everyone because it was almost a sense of relief at that point, because at that point times were very tough, yes, and they wanted it all to be over, and this day was such a great day, and it would be a day where everyone got to learn from that dark time, and everyone would be relieved that the war is over. In the New York Herald Tribune, it also says the new foreign minister, Count Schwerin von Krosnick, surrendered. And I think that's a great deal coming from someone within the country, because at that time it was kind of hard to like know who to trust, and especially in a country where it is coming from this such madness and dehumanizing behavior. It's hard to know who to trust, and coming from the new foreign minister, I think it's a great deal, because it's truly over. This time is done, and they've learned from what they've done, and they know that they're done. And I think it's a sense of relief for everyone at that time. Not only that, I think this means that Germany is now open to working with others, and they're putting what has happened behind them, and they're going to try and grow, and they're trying to become people and a country that should aspire to help one another and not put people down and dehumanize how they did in the past. And I think this relates to the article, The Social Ideals of the Rebel Army, because on the second to last page, page 9, it says that they are gonna try to identify new common interests and basically work towards becoming new people, and people are a country that want to be open to new things and learn from what they have. And not only that, it says we have called upon the U.S. people and Latin Americans to create spiritual unity among all countries, and a unity that will transcend words and bureaucracy. And I think that just means that they're putting what happened to them behind them as well, and this means that they're trying to grow from what they've learned and flourish into something that will be accepting for all, and foster goodness in the world, and not put anything down or anyone down. Not only that, not just Germany learning from their mistakes and learning how to grow, I think Japan did as well. In a historystate.gov article about how Japan was after World War II, it says some of the most profound changes in the document included downgrading the emperor's rights. So the emperor would not have as much power as they did, and I think that showed, because the emperor at the time was a great figurehead, and now that they have been downgraded a lot of power because of the past, I think it really shows that they learned. But not only that, I think a really profound change in this article, that it demonstrates in this article, is that women were given a lot more rights. And at that time, they didn't really have many, or before the war. And now that they're showing that they're growing and working through that, I think that's really beautiful, and it shows change, and not just the kind of change that they say they'll do, but they really implemented. And not only that, and they renounced the right to wage war, which is great, because at the time, I believe they were a real instigator in the war, and taking a step back and showing that they really were going to implement that, and showing that they were going to implement change, is just really powerful. And I don't really think we got that from Japan at the time. Well, till now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and my works cited will be in the next clip. Thank you very much.